Hey everyone, it's Jasmine. Okay, let's talk about the part nobody wants to talk about. You know, the unsexy side of moving abroad, the documents and the legal prep. This is the step that I warned you guys about last time. It's not fun, really, but honestly, you are going to need it and it's going to save you so much time and headaches for the future. Maybe not really time, but definitely headaches for the future. So let's get started. Gosh, you guys, my camera has been weird. I'm sorry if it keeps moving. I broke my camera on my move, my next spot. I'm not in Panama yet. But anyways, I'm doing the coasting thing. So anyway, so it broke on the way here, and I'm not buying a new one until I get to Panama. I'm just not. I'm just really have no interest, and I love this one, so I'm so sad. But anyways, it keeps moving, and so if I happen to go like this for a second, I apologize, but we are working with what we have. So, anyways, another step is obviously which residency path is the way for you. So, you definitely want to consult with a Panama attorney or an immigration attorney, specifically Panamanian, that's going to go ahead and basically tell you what is the best option for you. For me, in this case, it is not the Pensionado visa because I am still going to be working. And so for me, it is going to be the Friendly Nations visa, which means that I'm going to be setting up a corporation, working remotely. These are digital nomads use this a lot. Professionals use this residency pathway away to get into Panama. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. And this is going to help narrow down exactly what documents are going to be needed for your residency path. So that does mean I'm going to need birth certificates, marriage certificates if you have them, divorce certificates if you have those, school records, immunization records, and you are also going to need an FBI background report that needs to come from wonderful Washington, D.C. So you're going to have to apply for that. It's something you can do online if you are not close to that area, the DC area, which I am not. And it comes back pretty quick. So I applied online for that. And then basically I was able to have it come back to me via email. So you really don't even you have to leave the comfort of your couch for a process, but we'll go into that more later. But make sure you are working with an attorney to make sure that you are gathering the correct documents. And because all of those documents that you are gathering are going to need to have an apostille, basically stamp of approval, which will allow Panama to accept them from the U.S. Again, something you will go over or will be explained by your immigration attorney. All right, first things first. So, we all know the number one document you're going to need is your passport. You need your passport, and you also need to make sure that it has at least 6 months of it not expiring or being valid. Otherwise, it will not be accepted by Panama. So you should make sure you have at least a year or two on that thing. But your passport needs to be current. That's the number one. Second thing you need to gather is birth certificate for your child or minor children. And of course, just for yourself, because you are moving abroad, you want to have a good recent copy. So got a recent copy of my birth certificate, and then I need a recent copy of my son's birth certificate. Also, if you are married, if you have gone through a divorce, you should also have those documents. And I'm also saying like real copies, like certified copies. Unfortunately, yeah, you are going to have to go down to your vital records office or order them. Everything can be ordered pretty much online nowadays, specifically surrounding your birth certificates. That I know for sure. I can't speak for the marriage or divorce license or certificates. Sorry. I have no idea. but I needed my son's birth certificate. Another thing is my son's school records. And so I needed to make sure that I had all of his school records to make sure that he can get into his next school. This also does include that I need his immunization records. And so I did retrieve a copy of those from Washington State, where he was going to school. And then too, one another thing that most people might forget, and I kind of didn't think about it, and thankfully I don't need to do it, is if you had any name changes, any of those documents that are going to specifically call out like previous names, you need to have copies of those. So I went ahead and ordered fresh copies for Panama because that's what they want. They want them to at least have been about 3 to no more than 6 months old, but the sooner or the fresher, the better. Okay, that FBI report. So everyone's gonna need one of these, and it needs to be it needs to be within the last 6 months that you received this copy, certified copy saying this is what's on my record. That's what it is. So I went ahead and I put in a request form through online to start the process. After that, you do need to go and get your fingerprints done. I got mine done at my local USPS. I do know that there are other centers that will do it and they charge you a fee for that. You still get charged a fee at USPS, but you know, you're physically going in. So I was able to just slide in. Some of them have appointment times. Other ones, they just have a window of time that you can go in, and you basically are just asking for your fingerprints to be done. It's all done digitally, kind of cool. And then they basically send it back to, you know, the government, FBI people, and say, hey, we received her fingerprints. They run your fingerprints based off that, and a report generates. They said that the report can take about 7 to 8 days. Now, mine didn't take that long. Mine's literally took a one full day. I was pretty much on it. Like, I filled out my form, submitted it, went into USPS because they had walk-in times that day. They submitted it, and within an hour, I had already gotten my report back. And so I was like, oh, that was a lot quicker than I anticipated. Not saying that that's going to be the case for everybody, but I'm just saying I had a very smooth process in getting my FBI report provided back to me. So once you go ahead and you get that report, you have to send that to get apostilled. I hope I'm saying that right. I've heard all types of words. Apostille. We'll spell it. So otherwise, it's not valid. Panama will not accept it without that. And you have to also watch it because it's very critical of where you're getting that done. So on the federal level, it has to go to Washington, D.C. To go ahead and get that apostille seal of approval from Panama. Birth certificates, on the other hand, they can be done by the Secretary of State. So on your state level, I have a lot going on here because my son was born in California, so I have to go to the Secretary of State of California, send that in, or you can go in person. For my FBI report for me, that has to go directly to DC. So I'm sending that in, or I'm making an appointment. I'm not making an appointment. That's the East Coast. I like the East Coast, but I ain't got time to visit right now. I got things I'm doing. And the other one too is that's specific to me is because I do have a minor son who I am taking outside of the country. I have to have a power of attorney and permission from his birth father to allow me to take him out of the country. And that actually has to be notarized in the state that he's basically in, which is Washington State. And so the notary and the Secretary of State have to match as far as the states go. So he is signing that, and that is being taken to the Secretary of State in Washington. So I have 3 different avenues I'm going here with mine. Washington State for the power of attorney of my son, California Secretary of State for my son's birth certificate, and then Washington, D.C. for my FBI report. All of those are going to get apostilled, still working on that. for Panama to accept them, and they will mail you. You have to give them real copies, no fake copies. Like I had to, you have to literally give them the birth certificate, literally give them the FBI report that was sent to you, literally give them the notarized actual form that my ex-husband, the son of my father, signed, and that's what goes in. They will mail those back to you because you also have to send in on top of your money order. They do not take personal checks if you're mailing them in. A prepaid addressed like envelope from, they're weird. I will say this. They don't do FedEx for some reason. I don't know if they have a deal with UPS because they accept USPS and UPS, but of course you don't want to do snail mail. You really want to do like overnight or 2-day delivery. But I thought that was interesting that they only want UPS. So anyways, I did go the UPS route and I did a 2-day for Washington, D.C. because I cannot get there. That's the one state I just can't get to. But other than that, you can also just go into them for Sacramento. That is the Secretary of State for California. I was able to walk into that one and basically just have everything done right there with me on the spot. That is nice. But again, we don't always have that option. And sometimes you have to kind of, well, you got to mail them in. Be mindful though, those times are, they did say they can take anywhere from 6 to 8 days from the day that you basically it delivered to them for them to get to it. But then you do have to have a cover letter, kind of having ways of them to reach out to you if they have any questions that they need to ask you, you know, to help just make sure that you're getting done. Because if they reject it and they send it back, they're not returning them money. So you got to pay for it all over. So just be mindful because you usually need to have like photocopies of your ID go with it. Again, sometimes if they're notarized, certain documents have to be notarized before they're sent. So be mindful of that. And then also they do require cover letters and they kind of provide you with the template depending on which one. And if not, you can find some on the internet that it gives you, they tell you what they need. You just need like your name, email, phone number, stuff like that. So really, really helpful. And it makes sure that it's all legal in Panama because this, if it's done wrong, it's really going to hold up the process. All of this paperwork needs to come back to you because it's something that you will take to your lawyer I'm going to take to my Panamanian lawyer when I go to Panama because all of the real copies and everything that has the official Panama apostille seal of approval will go to the immigration there in Panama and they won't accept it if it's not that. So that's why this is crucial, not fun at all. Lots of kind of trying to figure out document costs and where things are going. Because again, you see they're not going to the same exact places at all. Some are going to different states. Because it all depends on where the document is originated. Again, I don't know what it is. This is me speaking directly to what I'm having to do under a friendly nations visa process, but I cannot speak to the other ones because I'm not doing that process. We're reviewing this one. But anyways, so that's the next step. And now on to the next. Make sure you're starting that process early as far as getting all these documents with the apostilles on them because it can take the longest based off really what's going on in each of those buildings and you don't know what their backup looks like. Some of them say 6 to 8 weeks, God forbid, and if you need them sooner, they kind of say you need to come in. I don't need them sooner. I can hold. So start it as soon as you kind of talk to your lawyer, but they'll also kind of tell you you can't move forward with your lawyer until all of this is done. So it's a necessity. Oh gosh, my camera is malfunctioning. Oh, not even my camera. It's the stand. It's like swooping. So I'm kind of going to hold it through this. But So, after you have all of your documents ready, it is time for your power of attorney and your packet that's going to be sent off. So, to start the official residency process, you'll need to sign a power of attorney for your Panamanian lawyer. This lets them submit the application and handle filings on your behalf because remember, in Panama, everything has to be translated back into it needs to be in Spanish. I don't know Spanish. Even if you do, you should still probably consult a lawyer. Let's be safe about this because doing this wrong could cost you way more money, and also you could it could cause you problems to not come back. Like if you mess up, they may not be so forgiving. So let's not do any of that. So at first, I sent copies of everything that I was going to be sending in officially to my lawyer so he can give me the okay of like that looks good. Perfect. Like when you get that back, bring that. Because when you go there, the originals must be brought to Panama, and I have to be there for about 2 to 3 weeks for this process to happen. And I will leave with my nice little temporary residency card. Yay! That's the point of that. So you're there, your lawyer's doing everything, you're in office with him, you're signing papers, and then eventually you will take your picture and then you will get your ID card. That sounds so simple. It doesn't feel that simple though. So this is why it's good to hire a lawyer because God knows what else I would need to be filing. There's also some special circumstances with the fact that I do have my son, and this is a Panama bank account must be open. So the more you know, right? So when you are filing with a dependent to Panama, you are required to open a bank account and put in that account 5,000 USD dollars. This is their way of checking and making sure that basically you can sustain a living with your child there. That again, the cost of living is cheaper. That is why. I don't know why they chose 5,000, but it's $5,000. So I knew that I needed to do that. And with that, that is going to take extra paperwork to establish and open up that bank account, which is going to be done in Spanish. So I'm going to need my lawyer for that. But like, how are you actually going to get it there? Like, are you going to pull it out from the US and bring it with you and have it on you? Or are you going to be able to find a bank? Probably not. Or an ATM? Probably not. That's going to allow you to pull off that much money. So being mindful of that, and your lawyer can advise you on that. Another thing is that this Panama bank account ties directly to my son's visa process. So it is something that's required to ensure, he said basically, that the kids can be taken care of financially. So that money is required for each dependent. I have one. So you want to make sure that you're keeping this process clean and efficient as best as you can. So what I've been doing is I've been keeping digital copies of everything stored on our computer under a folder labeled Panama. And then also I've taken actual copies, like done copies of each of our documents that are needed and putting those in a folder and like a waterproof like sheets in a folder, kind of maybe it's a binder. Okay, it's a little more bougie, but doesn't matter. And those are what I'm actually going to carry on the plane with me and kind of what I've been carrying around with me because you are going to need those just in case. They're good backups. And then the digital ones, scans of all vital records. So that's going to include all of our apostilles, passports, my son's school and medical records, my records, my attorney forms, and any types of proof of income, bank statements, all the pertinent, important documents that you would normally need. My thing is going all over the place right now. Hang on, let me stabilize this slightly. Ay, Dios mío. It's just good to have those anyways, always on hand, because you're gonna need them quite often, and you never know, what could happen with the computer or just the physical copies. So you don't really want to be stuck flat-footed on that. I am flat-footed, so I can say that, even though I'm not a big fan of the term. But you want to make sure that you just always have access to those, especially when you are leaving the States. It's not going to be so easy to come back to get like a birth certificate, when you're in a different country. So that's why I think it's best practice to go ahead and make sure that you are saving digital copies of everything in a folder, as well as physical copies that you will be making sure they are on your person and with you in Panama. Now, I know that was a lot, but again, it's the part that needs to get done. It's really what's going to set you apart and what you need to do if you really want to make the move. So, as much as this wasn't a fun part, it is nice to actually talk through it because I was a little confused. I almost sent them all to DC at one point, and I was like, oh God, that's not what you do. And my lawyer quickly helped me with that. So, to help to not feel overwhelmed, because I definitely will say that I had lots of moments of feeling overwhelmed, and I went back to my why a lot. I mean, as you can tell, I'm in a different space right now, so I'm not in the Airbnb that I was last time. I'm currently staying with friends and family until the rest of our move to Panama, and it's been a lot. It really has been a lot. Going from Washington to California, that has been a bigger move. I don't want to say than I anticipated. It's just maybe I wasn't expecting all the emotional feelings sometimes that come with it, and just the mental drain it can take when you're trying to get all these documents together, making sure they're going to the right place, just trying to still stay afloat and, work like freelance on the side, raise my son. Like, I definitely got and get overwhelmed at times. And of course, like, I'm in a different environment, I'm outside of my comfort zone. And, you know, I definitely miss like home, which was Seattle, but I'm like, I'm going home. Like, Panama's gonna be my new adopted home, but it's still, I definitely had to go back and continue to look at my whys of why I'm doing this and remind myself that what I'm doing is truly from my heart, to help me get through those rough times. But I hope that you guys found this helpful. So please like, comment, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It means so much. And I hope to see you guys in Panama. And if not, let me know where else you're going, because there's some pretty cool places. I have lots of things on my bucket list, so I'm very curious. But until next time, guys. Okay, so bye. Bye.